because E. Jean Carroll's lawyer, Roberta Kaplan, submitted a letter to the judge tattling on Donald Trump for keeping posts up about the trial on his Truth Social page. And you can take a look at a couple of these exhibits. She attached them as Exhibit A. Donald Trump posted this on April 26, and he posted another one on April 26 at 9:10 a.m. So the first one was at 8:51. The second one was at 9:10. And this is still up. And that's what Miss Kaplan is so upset about. So she sent a letter in saying, Your Honor, I found something and you need to know about it. Submitted this May 7th, 2 pages, coming from her office out of New York. Says, Dear Judge Kaplan, she's, tattletaling her. We write on behalf of E. Jean Carroll to update the court about 2 statements that Trump made about this case on Truth Social in April 26, the second day of trial in this action. And we were here, we were covering that. We saw those posts, and we saw the judge scold Joe Tacopina in trial about those posts. He told him, hey, talk to your client about it. She says, Your Honor, we flagged these posts to Your Honor as soon as we learned of them back on that day, raising our concern that Trump was improperly making extrajudicial statements about inadmissible and prejudicial evidence. Your Honor, the judge acknowledged this concern, stating that Trump seemed to be basically endeavoring certainly to speak to his public, but more troublesome to the jury in this case about stuff that has no business being spoken about. Also saying, the judge said, this seems highly inappropriate. The next day, Mr. Trump's lawyer, counsel Joe Tacopina, reported that he had spoken with his client about the post. He says that he represented that the post would be taken down in short order. Footnote 1. She says, well, Mr. Trump has not discussed the trial on his Truth Social account since April 26. He has spoken with reporters about the case, stating, among other things, that he planned to go back to New York and confront Carroll. He said, this woman is a disgrace. And she's referencing the Politico article from May 4, 2023. She says, to be clear, we have no doubt that Mr. Tacopina spoke to his client about these posts and sincerely believed the posts would be taken down. Unfortunately, she says, the posts remain available on Truth Social as of the time of this filing. And for the reasons previously stated, we continue to object to Trump's public statements about the evidence held to be inadmissible at trial and remain concerned about the prejudice that his statements may have already caused our client, E. Jean Carroll, in these proceedings. Very sincerely, respectfully submitted, yours, Roberta A. Kaplan, lawyer for E. Jean Carroll, tattletaling on these posts still being up. And the posts still are up, and we learned that apparently Tacopina told the judge that he thought the post would be removed. So now we get confusion about the order from the judge. Did the judge just say, all right, don't post anything more? Or did the judge say, okay, take the post down? We don't know. And we don't know exactly what Joe Tacopina responded with, whether he said, yes, Your Honor, I talked to him, he won't post anymore, or yes, Your Honor, I talked to him, he'll delete the posts. But either way, Donald Trump did make additional statements about this case, and I was also surprised to hear those statements last week when he said the following when he was in Scotland. And I don't disagree with his sentiments, but he is dealing with a very agitated judge. This is what Trump said.
I have to leave Ireland and I have to leave Scotland, where I have great properties. I have to leave early. I don't have to, but I choose to.
Will you attend the trial, Mr. President?
I'll probably attend. It's a disgrace that it's allowed to happen. It's called false accusations against a rich guy, or in my case, against a famous, rich, and political person that's leading the polls by 40 points. And I have to go back for a woman that made a false accusation about me, and I have a judge who's extremely hostile. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to confront this one. This woman is a disgrace, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen in our country. That's totally false. It was fake. She's a fake. She wrote in a book she's a Democrat. We have a rough judge. We have a judge that doesn't like me much, appointed by Bill Clinton. and he's a guy that doesn't like me much. He's, I guess, not allowing the coat that they wanted to put into evidence. Once we said yes, put it into evidence, they said, "Oh, we don't want to do that." It's a disgrace, but I have to do it. That's part of life.
And we didn't know whether Joe Tacopina had actually heard that when he was in court on that day. And so that's why the judge, I think, gave him until 5, because there was some question about whether Donald Trump would come back on Sunday and actually show up and attend to this trial, as he just hinted that he might do. So we get there. Now, the letter went out in addition to that video, which the plaintiff is referencing. She also submitted these 2 exhibits. And Exhibit A was this truth. And remember, this was posted at 8:51 in the morning. And that was before trial started, if this is on Eastern time. Trump said this: the E Jean Carroll case, Miss Bergdorf Goodman, is a made-up scam. Her lawyer is a political operative financed by a big political donor that they said didn't exist. They want him to delete this tweet. They don't want this up there. They don't want anybody to hear about it, I guess. I don't know why. Her lawyer is a political operative financed by a big political donor that they said didn't exist. Yeah, and so remember, this is Reid Hoffman. If you want to go to the spotlightlawyer.com/Trump mind map, you can see that. We have that whole relationship detailed out now. There's good evidence of that. As you see, Reid Hoffman is this guy here, the same guy who admitted to visiting Jeffrey Epstein's island, even though he claims to care about victims of sexual abuse, still hanging around with Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein got convicted. Curious. He was the guy who, according to a letter sent by Roberta Kaplan to Alina Abba, Trump's lawyer, was financing a lot of this litigation. And we know that George Conway met the plaintiff and encouraged her to litigate this and connected her with Roberta Kaplan. So everything that Trump said there is true, as far as I can tell, based on the filings in the court. But they don't want this tweet up, or this truth up. Just look at her CNN interview before and after the commercial break, like a different person. She said there was a dress using the old Monica Lewinsky stuff. Then she didn't want to produce it. The dress should be allowed to be a part of the case. This is a fraudulent and false story. It's a witch hunt. So that's the first post. Then there's another post here, Exhibit B. They also want Trump to delete this. Now, he posted this one a little bit after, right at 9:10 a.m., which is presumably after the day of trial starts that day. And I do believe this was the second day of trial after the jury was selected. So it was the first full day of actual trial, right? These were the 2 tweets. You see them under in day 2. And Eric Trump also made a post, but he deleted his post. So Eric Trump actually deleted that one, but Trump's are still up. In this one, he says they got caught lying. The Miss Bergdorf Goodman case, financed by a big political donor that they tried to hide. Same guy, Reid Hoffman. Does anyone believe that I would take a then almost 60-year-old woman that I didn't know from the front door of a very crowded department store, with me being very well known, to put it mildly, into a tiny dressing room and what her? She didn't scream. There's no witnesses. Nobody ever saw this. She never made a complaint. If I was seen there with a woman, there'd be big press. Total scam. So he posted that at 9:10, and that is what Ms. Kaplan's very upset about. So, Your Honor, these posts are still up here. Can you please take them down? They might impact the jury. And they're in violation of your order. So, all right. That's who is representing Ms. Carroll.